Okay, we're back on the second part of the special 20th episode spectacular of Movies That Matter. I'm your host, Chris Flaherty, and my guest is Liz Gillespie, and we've swapped seats.
Woo!
All right. So we just talked about Finding Nemo, and now we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Slight
two films
shift,
that go together really well.
Slight tone shift, but thematically, you can make a lot of connections between the two of them.
You can, as we will. Did we plan this? No, we didn't.
We thought about this.
We thought about it.
We were prepared.
We were so ready. Okay.
We knew.
Now we're switching our brains from Pixar to Marvel. We're going to the second section of Disney+.
We're just extending the Disney universe here.
Exactly. Okay, Liz, I always feel weird asking this question. Can I just say, I'm going to just drop the charade for a second. I always feel weird asking this question when they're really well-known movies.
Yeah.
But
I was like, I'm phrasing this really weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a little bit about it. I'll give you a little quick plot synopsis.
In your own words.
Yeah, in your own words.
Yeah.
There we go. So the original Guardians movie, did we address what movie we're watching?
I thought we did.
Did we? I don't remember. I thought we said we were just going... Okay.
The 2014 space fantasy opera, Guardians of the Galaxy, directed by James Gunn, starring Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana. We didn't even do this for Finding Nemo.
We didn't. That's
anyway,
okay.
but that's what we're talking about, folks.
I forgot about that.
That's okay.
That's on me. That's okay.
It was your first time hosting.
I'm new to this.
Yeah.
All right. So Guardians, the original Guardians, starts off with... you have a band of misfit kind of vigilante heroes that are all kind of trying to find their way. I'm forgetting the name of the planet they all meet on, but they're all fighting to grab this orb that contains an Infinity Stone inside of it. You have your main character, Star-Lord, aka Chris Pratt, in a different form. He comes from Earth, who just fresh off of... or the movie starts, his mom dies of cancer, and he gets taken in by the Ravagers, and he is now a space vigilante. Star-Lord off kind of doing his own thing, kind of being a thief on whatever planets he can. You have Gamora, daughter of Thanos, who you will find out more about later, who is just a warrior in her own right. You have Rocket and Groot, the wonderful combination of raccoon and plant creature, who are just kind of angry.
Well, Rocket's angry.
Rocket's angry, and Groot is Groot.
Groot's just happy to be here.
And that's right, you get Drax later, but when they're all in prison, they team up with Drax, and well put in the movie, what a bunch of a-holes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You just have this group of very angry warriors from different planets and different backstories, and they eventually need to team up together to take down Ronan. Or Ronan? Yeah, Ronan.
Yeah, Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the Accuser. I was gonna say, I was mixing up the name, but I almost just called him the Destroyer, and I'm like, that's wrong. That's Drax. That's Drax. He's a father.
He is a father.
We'll come back to that. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But essentially, that is essentially the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Quick on the second one, they find out more about Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord's father. They find out that he's Ego, who's a planet god, essentially. And they find out that he's not so good. He's got a little bit of a plan in place. And then Guardians 3 is Rocket is hurt and dying, and they need to find a way to bring him back to life, but the only way to do that is to go through his past backstory and find out more about what makes Rocket Rocket, and I'm forgetting the villain's name.
High Evolutionary,
thank you.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to just call him something that's along the lines of it, but I keep forgetting the actual name.
Hank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. Mm-hmm. So those are, in a quick nutshell, the three Guardians films in their briefest forms.
And you don't really need to see the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to understand these movies.
Exactly. They're very well standalone. And I know the next question. What do you remember seeing them for the first time? And I remember when the first Guardians came out, and it was just such a kind of random movie for Marvel to drop.
Yeah.
But it came out during a time that I, in my mind, kind of think of as, like, the golden era of Marvel, where you're not quite to, like, the point where it's so oversaturated of, like, Endgame and Infinity Time, where everyone's, like, on the edge of their seats waiting for it. It was just kind of in a time when Marvel was fun, but you had some build-up to it where you really wanted to see what was coming next, but it wasn't quite like at the time where everything was being introduced. It was the ball was rolling, and the ball was rolling well. So it was just kind of, it felt random, but it was well executed.
Oh, it's very random. It's a talking tree and a raccoon.
Exactly. You just kind of watch the trailer for it, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
What? They just wanted to find a way to get Chris Pratt in here, to get the trio of Chris's.
Yeah.
But you're like, what's the deal with this?
Well, I remember when they first announced Guardians of the Galaxy at Comic-Con, and like everyone was like, Captain America 2, yeah. Thor 2, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy, what?
What?
And then like people started to learn more about it, and it's like, this is weird.
Yeah, and you kind of just like find out as you go. You're kind of like, what?
Like, I would say it was Marvel's first big gamble.
It really was, because a lot of it wasn't like them being safe, but it was a lot of stuff that all like made sense together.
Right.
Where it was Iron Man is known for being like one of the more realistic and gritty ones, and Captain America has a very historical background to it, and Thor kind of comes from a lot of mythology, and then you now just have Plant Guy from space.
Yeah.
So it just kind of came out of nowhere and kind of sidetracked everybody. But at the same time, the reception to it was incredibly positive. Everyone was like, wait, they kind of have something going for him here. This was fun. And at the end, for starters, it was just really fun.
It's a very fun movie.
It's very fun, especially the first one, where you kind of just... Because I think part of what makes it so fun is because you just kind of... You know that Marvel is going to produce something good, and it feels so weird that you kind of don't... You kind of take away from kind of the story that they'd built up, and you kind of just go, okay, I don't really have any expectations for this. And you go in, and it kind of has the Marvel feel to it, but it's like... It's gritty, but also very... James Gunn's style is so distinct.
Yeah.
You know you're watching something by James Gunn when you're watching a James Gunn movie.
Yeah. I think probably the only filmmaker that could have brought this team to life.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. The only things that I really think of when I think of James Gunn are like the new Suicide Squad movie and these movies. And you can kind of definitely see where like the similarities come into place.
Yeah.
I think the Guardians movies are better than Suicide Squad, but...
Oh, yeah. Well, at least one of the Suicide Squad movies.
I think both of them, but
everyone really liked the second Suicide Squad movie. I was just okay on it.
I thought it was good, but I wasn't enamored by it.
No, I feel like it was overhyped.
Absolutely.
So, do you remember the first time you saw the first one?
Kind of. I don't remember it being, like, standout, but I do remember I went and saw it with my parents, and it was at a time where my mom and I were really into going to Marvel movies, and my dad wasn't nearly as into it as my mom and I were, but it was just kind of a, hey, let's just go see a movie. Let's just go and have some fun. And we did, and I remember all three of us just really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It was something different, but it was just kind of... Yeah, it was just fun. It was a movie that, at the time, I didn't have too much of, like, a grasp on it. But it's one of those ones that, over time, has kind of meant more and more to me, especially as the trilogy has progressed.
Yeah.
I know I texted you this, and we'll get to this more later, but, and you said in your movie, in Finding Nemo, that was one of the movies that, like, one of the first movies you remember crying at.
Yeah.
Guardians 3 is the movie I've cried the most at.
Guardians 3?
Guardians 3.
Wow.
That movie...
We're going to get into that.
We'll get into that. That movie broke me.
Wow.
But, going back to the first one, it was at a time where I was really enamored by Marvel, and I just thought the story was really fun. It was kind of an Avengers style, but not quite. It was different characters. Everyone was more wisecracking as well. Like, you have Iron Man and everybody who has their wit to them, but it was kind of everyone jabbing at each other.
Yeah.
If you have Peter Quill and Rocket Raccoon going at each other, their interactions are wonderful. They're just really funny. And as we talked about, the found family, the chemistry that all five of those characters have with each other is unmatched.
Yeah.
When you talk about found family, those five really did find a family with each other. They, from just kind of their beginning of their plan of trying to build themselves up and get out of the prison to their end when Groot grows his branches and protects everybody.
Yeah.
You really get a sense of camaraderie from all of them, even when they're all at each other's throats, which they continue to be throughout the full trilogy.
Yeah.
They still really, truly have a deep respect for each other. And it really shows, and especially, and this is one of those, like, where, like, the Avengers are all close with each other, but these guys are all, like, really, truly family with each other.
Yeah.
They grow up with each other. They feel safe with each other. They are a team. And they make each other stronger.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You remember Chunky's? Well, I say remember.
I do.
Yeah.
I do remember Chunky's.
I saw this at Chunky's.
Nice.
And it was the first of 3 times I saw it in theaters.
Ooh.
Yeah, which was the norm for me for a while, where I would see Marvel movies 3 times in theaters.
Ah.
I don't know, just because I really liked Marvel back then.
Yeah.
And the market wasn't as saturated as it is today.
Yeah. It was a little more fun to go do it then.
Yeah.
I think I might have saw this one twice. I don't remember exactly, but I think I definitely watched this one a lot.
Yeah. My friend Derek, if you're listening, hi Derek.
Hi, Derek.
He's like my Marvel guru. Like I go to him for the knowledge of everything. So I remember when this first was announced, he was like telling me like how like rich in lore these guys were. And so I was very invested in this movie about this time. And when I saw it, like I was like, I'm in. And I was telling everyone like, go see this movie.
You gotta see this, yeah.
Like I loved it. Like just it was weird, and I like weird.
Yeah.
Like it's a tree and a raccoon in space fighting like aliens.
You have a human, you have a green human, you have raccoon, you have a tree, and then you just have angry alien with tattoos.
Yeah. You have a light green alien.
Yeah.
We got a green alien. We got a light green alien. Well, we should talk about these characters that we love so much.
Yeah. I'll save Rocket for later, because especially I want to get into him when it comes to 3. But if we want to talk about 2 for a second, I think 2 does a great job for Star-Lord. Just to add another character into the mix, Yondu, a very important character. We've talked very in-depth about a father-son relationship, and Peter and Yondu's relationship is very deep. It's very well kind of... nothing encapsulates it more than... I'm forgetting the exact quote right now.
He may have been your father, boy.
He may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy. And he was like, yeah, that's right. Yondu raised him. Yeah. Peter Quill would not be the man he was without Yondu. Ego is the person, or the being, responsible for bringing him into this world. But he's not your dad.
Yeah. That's a big thing in the movie. Like, there's a difference between being a father and being a dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think Volume 2 is my favorite of the 3.
That's a good choice. I think seeing as 3 kind of broke me emotionally. I have a deep connection to 3, but I think all 3 of them have their individual best stories to them, and I think 2 has the best ending for me.
Okay.
That's how I think of it. I think 2 is... the first one was like that was really fun. I really like these characters. I like the story. It was kind of different. It was very playful in comparison to some of the other Marvel movies that had come off. Purely just dance battle.
Yeah, dance opera, one of my favorite
You and
things.
Me. Yeah. Every so often I think about just that. That is a thing at Disney they do now. You can just go battle Star-Lord out at Disney now.
I gotta get to California.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is a show that they put on. I think that if you're standing close enough, That's awesome. You get to dance off with Star-Lord. So I think that one is kind of the best, is a fantastic introduction to the story.
The opening sequence in Volume 1, I will defend to the death, that is the best opening for any Marvel movie.
Absolutely. That was so good. Just him and talking about music. Yeah. Those movies are so well done with how well they integrate the music.
Yeah, we got to talk about the music.
We'll come back to that, because that deserves an entire section of talking to itself. But it very well sets the tone. It's just kind of, you have the great music playing. It's very just, he's hopping around, you really establish the scenery very well. You get a sense of who Peter Quill is right off the bat, and he's not even talking. Yep. He's just going about his business. And it's just so and then just immediately when you run into your antagonist in that moment, you just protecting the orb. You just... Yeah. you get a sense of who he is right off the bat. There's no, like, sugarcoating it. It's just like, that is Star-Lord.
He's a goofball.
He is.
He just like me.
He relatable.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, like, he's trying to pawn it off, and you get, like, the sense of all the other characters, and everyone's kind of thrown in together.
Yeah.
And it just kind of ends up working out. But you have this just group of misfits, and it's playful and fun, and then 2 kind of expands the team a little bit, and kind of you increase, you kind of expand the story with Star-Lord and his family. You get Gamora and Nebula, her sister, and you get Mantis, and you kind of find out more of her relationship, and she kind of draws into the team a little bit. And then 3 is kind of when it gets really nitty-gritty, and you're... Everybody is kind of how the events of your life has impacted you. Yeah. How have the 2 movies leading up to this got you to this point?
Yeah.
Even beyond that, just how is your past kind of... And I think 3 kind of leaves things open-ended, but I'm not nearly as excited for the future of it as I would have been if it had come out... Oh my god, is it almost 10 years ago?
It's almost 10 years.
Oh my god.
It'll be 10 years next year.
I almost said I'm getting old, but I don't want to make you feel old, so I'll stop.
Settle down. You still got time. What you were saying about how the films build off on each other, I remember James Gunn said in an interview recently, he said, Volume 1 is about the mother, Volume 2 is about the father, and Volume 3 is about the self.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
James Gunn, you're right.
Yeah, specifically, like, with Peter Quill's relationship, like, the first one, he's dealing with the loss of his mother.
Yep.
The second one, he's kind of like torn, like he's sort of pulled back into this idea of the father that he never had, but then he realizes that he did have the father. And then Volume 3, it's more Rocket's film than anyone else's, but it's all about, as you said, how the world has shaped us and like our own value. Yeah. And how to accepting who we are in this world.
I think the ending of 3 does a really great job of like all of the major characters kind of breaking off and deciding who they are. Yeah. Mantis being like, I want to go take some time for myself. Peter wanting to go back to Earth and kind of come to terms with everything he's missed out on. Right. For the fact that he does still have at least a person that's especially since he doesn't have Gamora to lean on anymore. Yeah. He has his found family and he knows he hasn't lost them, but he knows that if he wants to find himself, he needs to go do that. Yeah. And 2 does a really good job of that as well, where it's still very playful and it's still very much stylistically this. I think having Peter be from the 80s and grabbing onto the 80s and all the culture that he grew up with, kind of just kind of tossed in certain bits, not just in the music, but like when he becomes Pac-Man.
Like, yeah.
Like, just kind of bits like that, where you have, like, a little bit of the 80s style to it, and it adds more style to the movie as well. It does a lot to kind of build him. It builds the world of everything. It really just wraps everything up very well like that.
Yeah. I do love the whole motif of his cassette player.
Yes, absolutely. And it wouldn't have had the same effect if he had, like, an iPod.
No.
It wouldn't have the same effect if he had just had something else.
I don't think it would. Especially because it's a cassette, and there's some personality to it because it's something his mother curated for him.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. It's a very personal item, even throughout all 3 movies as things progress. That his music means a lot to him. And I think another thing that really fascinates me with these movies is how each other's interests kind of influences, or like the other's cultures kind of influences everyone. Yeah. Where over time it's like Peter has his music that he grips onto so well. You see everyone else kind of have more of an appreciation for the music as the movies go on. You see everybody understanding what Groot is talking about when he says, I am Groot. And in the first ones, they're just like, shut up, we know you're Groot. Yeah. But then in 2 and 3, you kind of see that they're having more conversations with him. They know what he's talking about. They know what he means. I don't have any other specific examples off the top of my head, but they definitely play off each other really well, and they kind of grow with each other's interests, like a real friend group or family like that would. Yeah. They grow together.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the whole found family thing, and I was realizing this as I watched Volume 1 last night, what this film says about grief and everything. because immediately Peter Quill loses like the most important person to his life, and he runs away, and he almost goes through the stages of grief, not just in the first movie, but I would say through the second and third too.
Yeah.
And you see it in the first one, like his mom tells him to not open the present until she's gone. Mm-hmm. And so initially you're thinking like he waited this long.
Yeah.
But then like you sort of see like in the moment where like she says take my hand, but it's Gamora. Mm-hmm. Like it's sort of him like accepting that like mom's gone, but there's still people here right now that need me or that can support me and stuff.
Yeah. And throughout all of his appearances, even in Infinity War and other just extended non-Guardians movies, you can see him specifically going through the 5 stages.
Yeah.
You can see that, what's the first one?
Infinity War?
No, not Infinity War, the first stage of grief.
I don't... there's denial.
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance.
Acceptance, yeah.
So all 5 of those you can kind of associate with a different appearance of his. The first one is denial. He doesn't want to live with he runs away. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to take it. Anger, you can see it in Infinity War. You can see it. Bargaining, you can see it in 2, where he's trying to accept his father again.
Switch around. Yeah. Because 2 comes before Infinity War, but yeah.
Or, well, still. Yeah. Even not in order, technically, but you can still assign, like, because bargaining, you can definitely still associate anger with Guardians 2 as well.
Because his father wasn't around.
Yeah, and
I think there's some resentment for Yondu.
The number one thing that kind of snaps him into reality again at the end of the movie is when he finds out that Ego killed his mom.
What a moment.
That is just a really great moment. Because that just really solidifies who he is. Yeah. You know he's not in this for power. He's not in it for money. Mm-hmm. He truly cares for his family. And he wants to accept Ego as his father, but or as his dad. Yeah. But that's when it comes to terms when it's like, you don't mean anything to me. Your power doesn't mean anything to me. Because the reason that I'm even here, my mother, you took her away. Yeah. And then conversely, like, when him and Gamora had the fight, and he's like, I finally found my family. Aren't you happy for me? And then she says, I thought you already had. Yeah.
Like, building that found family thing. Yeah. And even like when, obviously Infinity War, he gets very angry. Yeah, that's another where I was going with anger. Endgame, you see he's looking for Gamora. Yep. At the end, even though like she's not Gamora, so that's kind of like bargain. Even in Volume 3, that's sort of bargaining. Like he's trying to make this new Gamora his old Gamora. At the beginning of 3 as well, that's really depression, where he's just drinking himself to sleep all the time. Just constantly out, really not up to being a Guardian, when then the end of 3 is kind of his acceptance. Yeah. So his story really is, you can see it being shaped by the stages of grief. Yeah. It's very well done. Going off of Quill, though, with the family, you especially, kind of a random character to see it with is Groot, but Groot is also a really good example of it, though. Yeah. Especially, not even just because he kind of grows up with everybody, but he kind of is one of the real defining characters of, like, who brings everybody together. Yeah. Everybody, they don't respect Groot necessarily, but they know that they need him. Yeah. They kind of, he's very protective of everybody. He kind of brings everybody together in a way that nobody really expects. And just Vin Diesel is what a strange choice to play him. It works. Hey, I don't think it would be the same if it wasn't, so. No. It works out well, but you can tell that even right off the bat, he's one of the defining characters that's really like, this is a family. Yeah. You all need each other, even without even saying it, because I am Groot. Yeah. But he's kind of holding everybody together in a way that you don't really think he is, and he continues to do that even as baby Groot, as teenage Groot. He becomes the baby, and everyone has to take care of the baby. Everybody has to chip in. And nobody, and especially Volume 2 has a fantastic opening as well. Just baby Groot dancing, and everybody's fighting around him. Great opening. That's they do a great job with openings in Guardians. Yeah. They really do a great job of starting you off strong. Yeah. Volume 3's opening. 3 was a little... I mean, just the thought of seeing, like... in comparison, but... seeing baby raccoons trapped in a cage, and they're scared, that does something to you.
I'll touch on Drax as well, just to kind of touch around. He is a very interesting character, because he's never been my favorite of the Guardians characters, but I don't think that Guardians would have nearly the same charisma without him.
Yeah.
I think, especially in the first one, kind of just having somebody in the prison, just to kind of just even extra bring them together, and kind of just being this, like, strong, he wants to be a father figure. You can tell right off the bat what he wants, and you kind of lose it a little bit in 2, but also he kind of just becomes a comic relief in 2, but...
I missed as I was watching it last night, I'm like, wow, Drax peaked early.
He did. They really kind of fell off with him a little bit in 2. I don't think they did justice to him.
No.
But I still don't think they'd have nearly the same charisma without him.
Right.
Yeah, they really had, like, a very strong, just not necessarily... And then they kind of just made him into a little bit of a himbo, but...
A little bit. I just love, like, in the first one, he's, like, laughing as he's beating people up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, we really, don't get that again.
Lose? Yeah, and we just kind of have, like, dumb Drax.
Yeah.
Where it's not bad, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
I really liked how he ended in 3. I think they kind of started off strong with him wanting to avenge his family. They kind of lost him in the middle there a little bit. But having him once again kind of come around to being more of a, like, wanting to be a father again, kind of being this very strong yet calming presence in front of all the kids. And especially Nebula kind of coming to that realization of just, like, I think Nebula kind of, at the beginning of, or, like, throughout Guardians 3, kind of being like, you're useless, like, what's wrong with you? And then him kind of coming into a purpose again was kind of overdue. Yeah. But I'm glad they did it.
Nebula is also, like, I think one of the best written characters throughout the whole trilogy.
100%.
Yeah.
Nebula has a great comeback story.
Yeah.
Nebula just going from kind of just being just the angry, antagonistic sister, just a villain, to kind of realizing that she's just been built out of the anger of her father, and she can be better than that. She doesn't have to be who she is, and she's still very much the same angry character. Yeah. But her morals have changed, and she kind of 180s while still kind of holding on to who she is. Right. Which is kind of the opposite of what Drax did. Yeah. Kind of kept the same personality, but changed teams. And I love her. I love Nebula. Absolutely was one of my favorite characters in 3. Every time she was on screen, I'm like, yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
She went from, like, trying to kill everybody to trying to take care of everybody.
Yeah, exactly. She kind of... Gamora kind of had the role of the mom of the group for a while, and then after she was gone, it was like Nebula kind of had to take over for it, but she's still, like, the angrier... Oh, yeah. She's like the angry aunt.
Oh, like the holiday special when, like, Kevin Bacon... Yeah. And she pulls up the gun. She's like, I'll get him. I'm like, you can't outrun me, Bacon. I'm like, oh my god, don't kill Kevin Bacon, please.
Not Kevin. I laughed at the end when they had the Kevin Bacon on the newspaper.
Oh my god, one of the best Easter eggs ever.
That was well included. But yeah, no, especially when you lose Gamora and you just need to kind of fill the void in a way. I thought the kind of bit in 3 of Star-Lord falling for Gamora, or not Gamora, for Nebula, just real one-off, and she's just, don't even think about it.
Just stop.
Which is I'm so glad they included that. Yeah. Because they didn't need to give him a new love interest, so I'm really glad that they were just like, stop. Yeah. Don't do it. Just.
I kind of like that they left it open-ended with Gamora and Quill.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't think I would like that, but after, like, processing it, I think that was the smart thing to do, as opposed to, like, having them have, like, an end-to-end. Just kind of having them not at butting heads with each other, but also not back to where they were. Kind of. I think it's interesting to kind of see Gamora go in a different direction than you originally thought she was supposed to go to when they started off the movies, but I think it was the right decision.
Yeah. I do wonder, I mean, obviously, James Gunn didn't write Infinity War and Endgame. I just wonder, like, how much that those 2 films affected what he was going to do.
I remember him talking about it in an interview, but I don't remember exactly what he was saying, because he was just kind of thrown off by it. Yeah. Because it absolutely wasn't what he wanted to do, so he was kind of scrambling with that one.
But, if you rewatch the first film, like, it's so much is recontextualized by the second and third one.
Yeah.
Like, the whole, like, you hear, like, the mother talking about how, like, the dad is coming to get Peter, and you're just like, no, nope. Or, like, you hear, like, why'd you get beat up? He's like, oh, some bullies at school were, like, messing with a baby frog and, like, killed it. And I'm like, oh, so that's why he's, like, so determined to take care of Rocket and everybody. And then, even then, like, when they're in the prison and John C. Reilly, I miss John C. Reilly in the MCU.
Oh, me too. He's great.
When he's giving, like, the debriefing on all of them, and, like, he actually says Rocket is, like, subject 89P13. I'm like, oh, okay.
Hey, we're coming back to it.
I love a plan. Look at
that. Things came together.
Yeah.
I really like how even with, like, Endgame kind of throwing stuff off, they really still did a good job of, like, kind of playing the family dynamic of Gamora and Nebula.
Yeah.
No matter, even how plans shifted, those two, from the get-go, they definitely had the correct kind of vibe of, like, they're sisters, they're kind of at ends with each other, but they still don't hate each other, they don't want to kill each other. They want to kill each other. Yeah. Because that's their characters. But they don't want to do it. Yeah.
It's like that scene in Step Brother where after the big fight, they're watching Shark Week. And then they high-five each other and they're like, still hate you? And I'm like, still hate you.
Yep. Exactly.
It's like that.
They hate each other, but also they have a respect for each other.
Yeah, there's a mutual respect.
And they both know that they have been affected by their upbringing. Yeah. They know how Thanos, their father, affected them as they grew up. They are in another family dynamic, very grown in, where they really do a good job of Peter's family and Gamora's family and Drax's family. We don't really know too much about Groot's family, but
no.
I think it's best that way.
Yeah, it is bad. I would maybe like to see where Groot comes from.
I would love to see Planet Groot, but I want to see that as more of like a little short. Just a little one-off thing.
Visit for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I could do a whole planet where everyone's going, I am Groot, I am Groot.
Nah, you can't get too much out of that. Yeah. But I am curious. I am curious. One of my favorite bits in all of the MCU is just Thor being able to take Groot as an elective in school.
That was so fun.
That got me so good.
Yeah.
Like, what a random thing to include. I also love Peter and Thor's dynamic with each other.
Oh my god. Ridiculous.
Just a...
Also, I wish they were in Love and Thunder more.
Oh, me too.
I understand it's Thor's movie, but I feel like Peter could have added a lot more to Thor's arc in that.
Absolutely. They could have done a lot with Thor, Love and Thunder, and Guardians would have definitely routed it a little better. And I also think that's a good example of, like, how the team operates without Gamora. Oh, yeah. Because they're a bit of a mess. They're a disaster. Yeah. Kraglin is just marrying someone he instantly met. I love Kraglin. Mantis is ready to just, like, shoot the goats. Yeah. Nobody has a direction. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you put Thor in charge. Yeah. That's what's gonna happen. Yeah. Quick on Kraglin. I love Kraglin and Yondu's relationship. Great. I love them both so much. They're so good. I love thinking of Kraglin as just kind of Thor's other son. Or not Thor. Yondu's other son. Just in a way. Mm-hmm. Just, Yondu's raising an army of children. Yondu did more than he thought he did. Yeah. I also do like Kraglin gets his hero moment in Volume 3. Oh, 100%. I'm so happy when Kraglin does anything right. Yeah. I root for him every time he's on screen. I love him and the dog as well. Cosmo the dog. Cosmo the dog. Not something I thought I would really enjoy from 3, but something that just made me happy. Yeah. Say it. Say I'm a good girl. Say it. Got so intense there. Say I'm a good dog. No, you're a bad dog. No! Got really intense there. That was real. That was true. Yeah. And I love that because that really is just, when you have the inner monologue of a dog, I'm glad they made it real. Yeah, right. Very much Doug, like an Up. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And just, Cosmo. Just what a weird thing to include, but I love it. Yeah. We've jumped around a lot. That's okay. We've jumped around a lot. I mean, this is 2 episodes in a row. Yeah. Should we talk about the music now? Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said earlier, I love kind of the 80s vibe that they brought into it. And it really adds the vibe of just kind of fun to it. Yeah. But also, it really you know how, like, fight scenes can always have a different vibe to them depending on the soundtrack that they add to it. Or you can have a really epic one, or you can have just a really fun one. The music that they chose for Guardians kind of makes it a combination of both.
Yeah.
They really do a good job of, like, setting the tone of everything that's going on. While every song kind of has a similar vibe to it, they really do a good job of kind of changing how the vibe goes as you watch it. Where it gets you more invested, but it also just kind of makes it more fun as you go. Also, Hooked on a Feeling. Every time I hear it, I'm just like, let's go. This is great.
Well, Jay, I think people took the wrong lessons from the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. I think a lot of films try to do this jukebox soundtrack that Guardians made popular, but I think they fail to understand that James Gunn is like writing and storyboarding these scenes with these songs in mind.
Yep.
And they all sort of are intertwined into the story and what's going on. I think like the most egregious example is the Mario movie.
Yep, that was interesting.
Yeah.
I liked the Mario movie, but the music choice for it always...
Music was rough.
It kind of just made me question what was going on. Where it was like, I understand what they wanted to do with it, but it was kind of like, okay.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn is fine.
That was... I kind of enjoyed that a little
if I had a nickel for every time a Chris Pratt movie in 2023 had No Sleep Till Brooklyn in it, the Garfield movie now has a chance to do something really funny.
Oh, no. One example of that I think of is, have you ever watched Umbrella Academy? So, there's a very famous scene from that show where the character Five is in a donut diner, and he gets in a fight where he's teleporting around, and the song that they chose for it was Istanbul. Was Constantinople.
Yeah, They Might Be Giants.
Yeah, that one. And it kind of works, but it also is kind of weird at the same time. I know a lot of people that are fans of that show are like, that's the scene. That really works. It feels very random to me.
Well, sometimes, as we've learned from the Kingsman movies, weird songs can really unexpectedly work.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Like Give It Up from Casey and the Sunshine Band. Or Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting by Elton John.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It works, but also doesn't. So a lot of Umbrella Academy fans are like, that's the scene. Sorry to any Umbrella Academy fans. I am not one of you.
We're not the same.
We're not the same. I watched it. I thought it was fine at first, but I thought it was way not what I wanted it to be. But that's a different time.
I think we as a society need to stop using Holding Out for a Hero in movies.
I agree with that. I think it's way overused.
Yeah. It peaked at Shrek 2. It did.
Truth. We speak nothing but facts here on Movies That Matter.
And also, just like Take On Me by a-ha for when we enter the Donkey Kong Kingdom. And it's so aggravating when you find out, like, Brian Tyler actually, like, wrote really good music for these scenes, and they just said, no, pop songs instead.
Yeah. Oh, it's so annoying. It went in Mario, I got so much more excited whenever they, like, played just a version of, like, the game songs.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember hearing the Star soundtrack towards the end, and I was like, let's go!
We needed more of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you're watching Mario. You know what music you want when watching Mario.
Yeah.
Give me that. But that's the same thing with Guardians. They did a really good job of continuing the vibe throughout the three movies.
Yeah.
Where they established what you wanted in the first one really well, because that's a very great culminated soundtrack.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, 2 and 3 probably can't have nearly the same.
Right.
But they did. They were able to... I don't think it's nearly as iconic as the first one, but they were able to keep the vibe.
Yeah.
As strong with the two afterwards.
I also think, like, James Gunn, like, really got some deep cuts.
Oh, yeah.
Like, some of them are pretty well known, but they're not, like, as popular as, like, Take On Me by a-ha or Holding Out for a Hero. Like, they're not as popular that, like, they can take on their own identity with the Guardians films.
There are definitely songs that I had never heard before going into that movie, but now I hear them and I'm like, I love this song.
Yeah.
What a random choice to put the Pina Colada song in, but...
It's random, but it works.
It works. Every so often, I just hear Cherry Bomb go off in my head, because I just think about that.
I love Cherry Bomb.
Yeah. I just hear that. It makes me think of Wreck-It Ralph, but that's fine. That's different.
I get it.
But
I get it.
It's still just, I think about it, it's just songs from that movie are just every so often in my head.
Yeah.
Songs that I like that I never would have known without it, but it also fits with the movie so well.
Yeah.
It works.
I had heard the song that opens Volume 2 before, but now I can't help but think of Guardians now when I hear it.
Yep, exactly.
Or like the song Father and Son at the end of Volume 2. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mr. Blue Sky is
Mr. Blue Sky, which is another film, another song that's been used in film plenty, but it still took on its own thing. It was used in Mario.
That's right.
I don't mean to knock Mario. I love the Mario movie.
Was good.
It was good. The soundtrack, not so much.
Yeah, they could have done a little bit. This is I'm not going to do a Mario movies that mattered, but Keegan-Michael Key did so good in that movie.
He did so good in
That's
that movie.
all I'll say on that.
Thank you for saying that. Have you ever introduced this movie to anyone?
Guardians?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I have been kind of the driving force between making sure that people continue to see it.
Good.
I've brought it up to people before. Katie, my roommate, is not nearly as much of a Marvel fan as I am, and we've discovered that because I will just talk at her about Marvel things sometimes, which is really funny. But when Guardians 3 came out, I'm like, we're going. It's just like, you have no choice. We're going together. I'm sorry, but you're coming with me. And so she was like, I don't know if I ever saw 2, and I just rapid fire tried to explain 2 to her. While we were sitting in the theater before the movie, I'm trying to go, and she was just, I think she said something along the lines of who's Yondu, and I went, uh-oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Blue man.
So I was like, try, but because of that, I know I've talked about this movie with other people. One of my friends from work, we used to talk about this movie because she's also a Marvel fan. I think 3 just came out on Disney Plus.
It did today.
Was it today?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna make my parents watch that here soon because they haven't seen it.
Nice.
I'm gonna watch it again. But this movie is absolutely just very, and especially like we were talking about earlier, how it works really well in the Marvel canon, but also works really well if you kind of take it out of, because even right now, with kind of the fatigue that a lot of people feel towards Marvel, and I know that I definitely feel it, because I have kind of forgotten when movies are coming out. I used to remember the exact day that everything was coming out. I still can tell you that Civil War came out on May 6th.
Wow.
I was dedicated. I was very excited for it. And I remember every time a trailer came on and said May 6th, and I was like, yes!
Love Captain America Civil War, by the way.
It's a great movie.
Yep.
I just remember that, and I just remember being so invested in it for a while, and my real moment of how I knew that I kind of wasn't paying nearly as much attention as I was while we were talking about Guardians 2 in the theater. I remember saying to Katie, oh yeah, when's Ant-Man supposed to come out? It was 3 months ago. 3 months before I sat down to watch Guardians, and I didn't know that.
Quantumania was something.
I never saw it.
It's okay.
I didn't know it was out.
It's on Disney Plus.
I'll get to that.
If you want to.
I'll get there eventually.
Get to it eventually.
It's one of those ones that's I'll see it on Disney Plus one of these days when I'm thinking about it. That's kind of what I did, and that's what I did with a bunch of them. I did that with Doctor Strange. I did that with Thor, Love and Thunder. So I've kind of fallen off a little bit, but when I saw that Guardians 3 was coming out, I'm like, we're going.
Yeah.
We're going. No questions, we're going.
I've done pretty good keeping on top, if not opening weekend, maybe the weekend after for the movies, the shows. I mean, there's nothing really else on these days.
Yeah.
But Secret Invasion I still haven't finished.
I have not touched it yet.
Yeah, don't. I want to get some people mad, but you don't have to.
Yeah. I might.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But if we go back to Guardians.
But yeah, going back to Guardians, not just going off on the Marvel tangent, this is one that, still has its cult following to it. Yeah. And I think that that's one thing that James Gunn really established, where it's just you like these characters, so we're going to give you these characters. While we did include Thor for a little bit, you are coming to see these characters, and we're going to keep it that way.
Yeah.
We're going to expand the universe of Guardians, but we're going to kind of keep it closed to Guardians.
Yeah. I also think this is a nice reminder of what Marvel used to be, or what Marvel is at its best.
I agree.
Which is a unique filmmaking voice, taking lesser known characters and making them very endearing characters. I don't think a lot of people remember, Iron Man was not a very popular superhero at first. Yeah. Not even Captain America was very popular.
Yeah, they kind of just took like faraway characters and just went, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna make something great out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that they do a really good job with it, especially continuing with the sequels, where they give voices to the characters that they kind of very vaguely introduced, but they kept giving it to them to make them even better. Where it's like, do you really care that much about Mantis in 2? A little bit, but not really. You get to 3 and you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm invested in Mantis right now. Like, I want her to succeed. I want her to be happy.
The holiday special did wonders for the Mantis character, I feel like. What was I going to say? Crap. Come back.
Was this about character building still? Like the world?
Oh, Volume 2. I just love what that movie did for Yondu and for Nebula.
Yes,
making
absolutely.
them like real main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember not really liking Yondu in 1, but it was just like, hey, it's just a character that I don't care for.
Yeah.
But by the time it got to 2, I remember talking to my mom about it, and my mom was like, I don't cry at you movies very much, but like I teared up at Yondu.
Yeah. I remember the first movie. I'm like, oh, funny blue man saying like, my boys wanted to eat you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like a movie later, I'm crying at his death. Like, damn.
It's like, what a random character to kill off, but also my heart. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, we're gonna kill Yondu? All right.
Yeah, if you had told me that they were gonna kill off Yondu in 2 after I watched 1, I'd be like, okay, do it.
Right. Because we learned so much about Yondu in the second one.
Yeah.
And
you learn about like his relationship with Peter and just kind of just how crucial he really is to the story.
Yeah.
And just he works so well, and
yeah,
they really do a good job in this movie of taking characters that you don't think you're going to care about and then just really making their stories so much more than you're prepared for.
Yeah.
To a point where you're just like, I am actually sobbing at these characters that I don't think of.
I mean, that's Guardians in a nutshell. We care about a talking raccoon in a tree now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that raccoon for a little bit, because I've been kind of dancing around him for a little bit.
Yeah. Are you going to be okay?
I'll make it.
Okay. All right.
I have water next to me, so I can keep it together.
Okay.
Rocket Raccoon is a character that I never thought I would relate with so much, but oh my god, do I relate to a talking raccoon in a superhero movie?
Yeah.
It's just, in the first one, you kind of just have this, like, very hardened character. He doesn't want to make friends. He kind of sees the worst in everybody. He's very angry, but he's kind of reluctant. He kind of knows that this is what he has to do. And you kind of see him kind of growing into his family a little bit. Like, he has Groot, so, like, he's not alone, but you know that, like, he's a loner.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell that he's very smart, he's very well thought out, but he doesn't really relate to everybody. Yeah. He knows that he's a little different. 2 kind of just continues to give you the Rocket that you know you love. Bradley Cooper is awesome as Rocket.
Bradley Cooper is amazing as Rocket.
Bradley Cooper's doing the most.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen videos of him just, like, doing the voice in recording studios?
It's amazing.
He's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's putting in the work.
Yeah.
He's so good at that. But in 3, when they really, if you take away kind of even just the, like, animal abuse stories, which are very hard to watch and very sad on their own.
Yeah.
If you boil it down to the story of just kind of this misfit creature who kind of finds his place with a group of friends who also kind of are in the same situation where they're kind of all finding themselves, and they all are so optimistic. But you also kind of know that it's not going to work out for them.
Yeah.
It is heartbreaking. Okay, I'll just say it right now. This is one word, and I started crying immediately. Hurts.
Oh.
Oh my god. That's like 15 minutes into the movie, and I already had tears down my face.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you're just showing me a baby raccoon, a character that I already really like from these last 2 movies, and you're just putting him as a little child, and he's in pain, and he's talking to these people, not people, but these other creatures that are just like him and want him to be okay, and they're comforting him. Yeah. And they're making him okay. And kind of just building his story up. I watched the scene of him and his 3 friends assigning their own names to each other before I watched the movie. And I already was like, oh, this is going to be a long movie. Oh, this is going to hurt.
I really thought we were going to meet them again at the end of the movie. Nope. Instead, I sat in the theater while probably a bunch of children got traumatized for life.
Oh, yeah.
That was dark.
You have this story of just this creature who wants to find his home, who wants to find his family, wants to find his friends.
Yeah.
Not even just his family, he wants friends. And he kind of starts to get it, and then just you see him be happy.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of acknowledge that Rocket is happy, but you don't see him happy.
Right.
You know he's satisfied, is I guess the best way of putting it, with Guardians. But that, when you see him in the flashback, you see him as happy. He's laughing with his friends. He's playing. He's enjoying being around them. You know that he's looking forward to his future. And it all goes away.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's just... I'm not saying this to kind of generalize anything, but, like, I know that feeling very well. I go to school very far away. I don't really talk to most of the people I went to high school with. There's not a ton here at home. Other than, outside the parameters of my house, I don't have a ton that I come back. I don't have a ton of people that I come back for. So I very much resonate with, I lost everybody. It's, just to kind of see that in the form of a raccoon was just like so powerful in a way that I didn't realize it was going to be. Because there's just this character who was just hardened by losing everybody, who's scared to make more friends, find his own family, because he knows he's going to lose them. And I know that feeling very well. So it was very... I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Cathartic, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Just to see a raccoon kind of, in a more extreme way, kind of understand a feeling that I had. But it was just like, that's me. I understand that. I know what he's feeling. And it's just a raccoon. Like, not nearly to the extent of being abused, but kind of knowing that you have a brain, knowing that you have worth, knowing that people can be around you, and then not having them.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's frustrating. And you see his frustration with it. And then you see him, especially towards the end, where he acknowledges who he is. He's confident. He knows who his friends are. He knows who his family is.
Calls himself a raccoon.
And you see him achieve happiness again. You see him achieve the same confidence again.
Yeah.
He knows where he's meant to be. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are still looking for it.
Yeah.
And it is out there. You just have to find it.
I think about, I'm thinking a lot about the relationship of Rocket and Yondu in Volume 2.
That's right. Where the two of them are like, you're me.
He's like, I know who you are, boy. You're just like me.
Yep.
And then during Yondu's funeral scene, when Rocket's like kind of sad, and he's like, he didn't chase them away. Like, even though he was mean to them and he stole all the batteries and like you don't see his face, or Quill doesn't see his face, but he sees what, and Quill's like, no, of course not. And like, it's incredibly powerful and a testament to James Gunn's filmmaking that the last shot in that movie is a CGI raccoon like shedding a tear. It can leave such an impression. Yeah.
Rocket really goes through an emotional depth that you don't really think that he's going to. You kind of just see this very hardened character at the beginning, especially in 1. And you don't think that he's somebody who's that affected by, like, relationships and everything. Because he's had Groot throughout all your time of knowing him. And then you kind of see his relationship with everybody grow, with Groot grow, and then you kind of see himself grow.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to, like we were talking about earlier, the mother, father, and the self, where it's not necessarily you see him grow with his group originally.
Yeah.
You see him kind of not necessarily become a father, but like you see how tight his relationship with Groot.
Yeah.
And then now you kind of see that he's kind of processed who he is.
Yeah.
He's also a very good example of self.
Yeah, self-worth. Like, Volume 1 is about the mother, Volume 2 is about the father, Volume 3 is about the self.
Yeah.
But there's this whole... We could go through the whole issue of parents in these movies.
Absolutely.
There's more bad parental figures than good.
Yeah.
There's Thanos, there's Ego, there's the High Evolutionary. Yeah.
Everybody's kind of got their own father trauma.
Tragic backstories. or as Peter says, like people who have lost stuff, and then life's giving them a chance to, I'll say it, to give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's fine. This will go on late night BCAT.
it will go on late night. I'll meet it up. 55 minutes in. Okay.
Perfect. There you go.
And maybe people will have fallen asleep by then when it's on TV. Not while it's on Spotify, I hope, unless you're listening to Spotify at midnight, which you might be.
You very well could.
I don't
Who knows?
know.
I won't judge.
I don't judge. I only look at the play counts. I don't look at when you listen to it. I think we've talked about what allows Guardians to connect, or allows audiences to connect with Guardians.
Guardians does a great job of, no matter who you are and which character you really choose to find yourself resonating with,
Yeah.
you can find somebody and something to insert yourself into.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought that I would have seen myself in a raccoon, of all people, of all creatures to see on a TV?
Mm-hmm.
But anyone can really relate to Quill and kind of losing the people individually and running from it. You can resonate with Nebula, who wants satisfaction and peace with her life, knowing that she's been so torn apart as she has been.
Yeah.
You can resonate with Drax for just wanting to have a family again.
Yeah.
There's so many different avenues where a lot of them are kind of similar and all tie together. There's enough difference that you can kind of insert your story onto somebody. And again, they make it so strange, but that really just kind of adds to just why you want to watch it.
Yeah.
You're just like, who would have thought that Cosmo the dog was just something that you want to see? Like, there's so much depth to these movies, and there's so much of a universe that's built behind them. This is just a total sidetrack, but I love the names of all the different places they're going to, like the Nowhere.
Nowhere. And then just weird names like Morag.
Yeah.
Vormir's a bad place. We don't go to
Vormir.
We
We don't talk about Vormir.
Yeah.
But just kind of, you kind of have like the Star Wars-esque value to it, so you have something that you want, that you remember. There's some little nostalgia feel to it. It has the Marvel feel, so it's connected to what you already know, but it also very much has an identity of its own, which is what every character in the movie is striving for themselves.
Yeah, everybody can freak out when Thanos first appears, but like if you're just watching the Guardians movies, it's just like it's the Star,
Thanos.
it's the Marvel equivalent of I'll say Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just the guy in the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Where it's, you have your big bads, and they're not necessarily like Thanos level big bads.
Yeah.
But they all still hold a lot of power over everyone individually.
Yeah.
As well. And just everyone working together as a team and kind of figuring out not only the fact that they have a found family, but figuring out how they all fit in with each other.
Yeah.
They have their own place with them, no matter how kind of strange they think how strangely they fit in and how much they don't think they work together. They do.
Yeah. They're all broken people, but together they make each other whole.
Exactly.
And the trilogy is almost like a metaphorical cocoon. And by the end of the film, they all go their separate ways because now they've learned.
Yeah, they've all
their
become
own worth.
stronger.
Yeah.
And they have their own worth.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, where I'm not like super thrilled for what the future of Guardians could be because they have kind of a new team. I like the individual members of it. Like, I liked Adam.
Yeah, Adam's good.
Adam was a fun addition to 3. I didn't think that he was super necessary, but I kind of enjoyed his inclusion.
Right.
So there's a lot of just things that only could exist in the Guardians universe that you're like, this is fun and this works.
I don't know if I would want what I would want from another Guardians movie.
I don't either. I think that they did a very good job of wrapping it up.
Yeah. I think it's fine to have that new team like in the background, and maybe they come in like to fight Kang in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty or whatever.
Yeah. 4th
and 5th Avengers movies coming now with the writer's strike and everything. Who knows? Support writers and actors, people.
Support.
I would be interested to maybe see Star-Lord adjusting to life on Earth again.
Yeah.
And they kind of tease that at the end.
Yeah. I
So-
would be interested in kind of seeing how it all works, but I don't think I necessarily need another movie.
No, I don't.
I don't need a
another-
Guardians 4. I think that Guardians 3 was the right place to stop.
They can be like.
They can do a holiday special too.
Yeah, or they can be like Tony after Iron Man 3 and just be a supporting player
Yeah, exactly.
throughout the rest. Yeah. So I'm
So
good with that.
They still have their place, but not necessarily the spotlight.
Yeah. All right.
Which is a good place for them to have.
Yeah. They always have a place in our hearts
Absolutely.
because Guardians of the Galaxy matters.
Yes, it does.
As does Volume 2, as does Volume 3.
All Guardians as a whole matters.
Yeah.
That was
did it.
very well timed.
That was well timed.
Well
and
done.
wow, if only we did it at 28 seconds ago.
Damn it.
That's okay. No, there's nothing I need to edit out. Oh, what a fun 2-part adventure this has
That
been.
was a good little double feature for us.
Who would have thought Guardians of the Galaxy and Finding Nemo would go so well together?
I definitely would. Those weren't two that I was thinking would be. Yeah, that's the perfect back-to-back. It's our Barbie and Oppenheimer. It's our Barbenheimer.
This is our Barbenheimer. Guardians of the Nemo.
Guardians of the Nemo.
Finding Guardians.
Yep.
Oh, wow. That was good.
Well done. Excellent.
Thank you, as
Thank you.
always.
Thank you for having me back.
Well, thank you for always making it a point when you come home to do this. I really appreciate it, and I always love having you here.
It's one of the highlights of coming home.
Thank you. Yeah. And thank you all for listening to 20-plus episodes of Movies That Matter over the last 2 years. And thank you to Liz and everybody that's come on over the past 2 years. And hopefully we'll continue to come on. And maybe if you want to come on the podcast, or maybe you have some movie recommendations, you can reach out to me at moviesthatmatterpod@gmail.com or moviesthatmatterpod on Instagram. And on Twitter or X or
Whatever.
Elon Land, whatever you want to call it. Movies That Matter, but minus the second T at the end of that.
Movies that
Not
matter.
as Tommy Wiseau would say. And as always, the real world is scary. Watch what you love to comfort yourself. Entertainment is subjective. That's not a bad thing. Thank you for listening to Movies That Matter. I've been your host, Chris Flaherty, with my good buddy, Liz Gillespie. Thank you, and good night.